You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Comics YouTube channel, where I'm going to be going through the Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton #1 issue. And if you listen to our podcast or even saw me talk on the Thinking Critical channel with Wes, I told everyone how much I enjoyed Lazarus Planet Alpha #1. And while I understand that a lot of you listening right now have event fatigue, I think I have something much, much worse. You see, I have shitty event fatigue, right? That is something that was way, way worse in my mind. Mind you, it's not just from DC Comics, but also Marvel as well. If you don't believe me, please pick a random dark web review video I've done, and you'll see the nonsense that I am going through right now, and a lot of other people as well. So I hope that this Lazarus Planet event does save me from all the nonsense. It gives me a good story that propels us into the new golden age of comics that Dawn of DC promises to be. Now that sounds real positive, right? That's more positive than I think I've been in quite some time. Well, that's good, because things are about to go downhill starting right now. You see, I also said something else on the podcast and in my chat with Wes. I was worried about these one-shot stories not written by Mark Waid. Well, the first one came out this week, and that's why I'm here to review this Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton and tell you why my worries might have been well-founded. But before we get into all of that, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, enable the notifications, and let me know what you thought of this issue, the Assault on Krypton, in the comments below. Plus, let me know what you think so far of the Lazarus Planet in general. Now, into this, one of my worries came from the solicits for these one-shots. I'll tell you, reading those ahead of time, which a lot of people avoid, did end up worrying me, because here's the solicit for this issue. With the world in chaos and Lazarus raining from the skies, the Earth's protectors from Krypton are hit hard. In this collection of epic vignettes from in and around Lazarus Planet, we'll see heroes transformed, secrets revealed, and powers unleashed. Can Power Girl free herself from the out-of-control Omen? Will Dreamer's visions guide our heroes to the path of victory? Can Mercy Graves survive the transformation she's undergone? And will Jonathan Kent ever be the same again? Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't know that Dreamer, Mercy Graves, or even John Kent to some extent were Earth's protectors from Krypton. But okay, we do have Power Girl in this. Now, what worried me about that whole blurb isn't the idea, because I know that solicits are rarely right, where you go, oh, well, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. It was that play of a collection of epic vignettes from in and around Lazarus Planet. That is code. That means that these stories will mean nothing, that these stories will just be little things to throw out there to be what it is. It's a cash grab. We all know that. But that doesn't mean that we can't enjoy it. There's cash grabs that you can enjoy. It's just that I worry that I want something that has to do with the main story, because while I did like the Alpha issue, there were a lot of, empty spaces there, things that needed to be filled in, and maybe these issues could do it. But from this one to start with, I don't think that's going to be the big deal. Now, there is a recap blurb at the beginning as well, but that brings up that Krypton had a similar disaster to Lazarus Planet, but that's also never referenced in the stories and looks like it was just made up to justify this issue somehow. And I already said it, but spoiler alert goes out to DC Comics. We all know a cash grab when we see it. We all know what this is. So don't even pretend it isn't. Just go with it. Now, the stories themselves, pretty forgettable, but are individually pretty inoffensive. Nicole Maines, who played Dreamer on the Supergirl show, is back to write the character. I don't think it's a great jumping on point if you want to know who Dreamer is. Still, worse than that is nobody is telling them that the Helm of Fate, which they're desperately searching for, was shattered into pieces, fell into the Lazarus Pit, and caused this whole Lazarus Planet disaster. It's a very odd deal that goes against even the editor's notes. I tried to make it work in my head of what was going on, but it makes no sense, because the characters that Dreamer's talking to, Damian Wayne, even a Batman who's on a table, they know better. They know what happened, but then just let Dreamer go off to do this. But search for it as if, nothing had happened to it. Maybe the search is, okay, now that it fell in pieces into, but that wasn't really explained. And that's a problem with a couple of these stories in here. It's a matter of not getting much explanation of what's happening. But at least Dreamer's keeping busy, right? There's a little bit of a Nightmare on Elm Street reference. All right. And we do get a little Khalid Nassour in the story as well. I know that not everybody loves Khalid, but I do like him. So I like when we get to see him, even if it's in the dreamscape. He's a dream warrior, he is. Next, we get a John Kent story that does lead directly into his upcoming miniseries, but it's written by C.S. Paquette, not Tom Taylor, which is odd. And right away, that signals to me that nothing of consequence will really happen. And sadly, I kind of am right. Sure, we almost get John's new electric blue powers, but we'll have to wait until the mini to get them full. The story itself is also, sadly, the generic John Kent stuff we'll probably be stuck with, for now at least, where John, he catches a guy shoplifting, tells him it's wrong, teams up with him, but after the guy saves him multiple times, John does the right thing and has him arrested. But the only thing of interest is the guy did get powers from the Terrigen Mist, the Lazarus Storm, and he ends up getting these fire/volcano powers, but he gets away in the end, and maybe he'll come back as a little bit of, seems more like a frenemy than an actual enemy to John. We'll have to see if this means anything down the line with this character, but overall, again, it's just this kind of generic story. You get a hint at the electric blue powers, and we'll have to wait for Tom Taylor to write the proper deal in the John Kent mini. Next, we get a Mercy Gray story by Frank Barbary, which I think is the best one in this issue, but it has me worried a bit overall. In the story, Mercy gets techno-organic, almost venom-like powers, and she says it's from the Lazarus Storm transferring the power of Lex's power suit when she ends up getting knocked into it. So the storm knocks her into Lex's power suit, and some of its power then is transformed into an organic version of it for Mercy, and that's the weird play. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm worried that this just shows that every writer is going to come up with their own explanation of how people get powers, what the powers are all about. We just ended up right before that having that power set for this new kid who seems to keep saying they're volcano power. What, did he bump into the volcano? I don't think so. So I hate in these things where it doesn't really matter that much, but I hate when the idea of how the powers got there or what they are all about changes between books and stories. That just ends up getting annoying overall. But the story just seems to be here to give Mercy Gray's powers to probably continue in Joshua Williams's upcoming run on Superman. However, the timeline here is a little wonky too with Lex. It already feels wonky with what we saw in Action Comics 1050 and all of that. I'm sure it really won't matter, and we'll just go forward with this. I'm guessing that these powers will allow Mercy to somehow rescue Lex from that crazy ultra prison that he was put in 1050. Then we get the ending of the issue and Leah Williams' Power Girl story. And this was the one I was most interested in reading, actually, since Williams is starting the Power Girl story in the upcoming Action Comics 1051. So this is actually the writer writing the character they'll be continuing on with, unlike some of these other stories. Now, after reading most of what Leah Williams has written at Marvel, I had a sneaking suspicion of what we might get here. But I'm telling you, Williams always has a knack for surprising me with just utter nonsense. Not surprisingly, the story is a bit of a mess, with Power Girl getting a new power set, maybe from the Lazarus Storm or just Leah Williams messing up. I think it's from the Lazarus Storm. She has these telepathy powers. They seem new. I think this is something this Lazarus Resin Storm has given her. But why, oh why, doesn't Leah Williams spell this out better? Why doesn't she say more about the idea, oh my God, I never had this power. This must be the storm, something like that. It ends up where, since it's a lot of people I think are right there with me, you want to see what Leah Williams is going to do with Power Girl. Does she know the character? and you throw out this new power without really, really stressing that it's new, it almost feels like you're just setting yourself up for people to bitch and moan that you don't know the character. But we'll have to wait and see what it all means from Action Comics. But this is not a promising start. And as a side note, I might actually do a little video about what I do expect from Leah Williams and this Power Girl story, as almost like a soothsayer looking into the future, what I would guess, because I would like to consider myself a bit of a Leah Williams expert. I've read most, if not all, the things that she has written, and they're all nonsense, but that'll be for later. But the art throughout this issue is really good. And while the issue didn't annoy me, it didn't do much of anything, and it's not really necessary in the whole Lazarus Planet event. It just doesn't feel like it's going to mean much. Most of the stuff that we end up having set up, some other things, Dawn of DC stuff, Superman stuff, but anything that we get will either be recapped or expanded on anyway once we get to those runs. Now, I guess that since it wasn't annoying and didn't ruin the Lazarus Planet event, we can call it a win, right? But it also can be skipped, but maybe that's a win too. That's a win for your wallet or a pocketbook. But overall, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10, but that's mostly for the art. But thanks everybody for listening. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, enable the notifications, and let me know in the comments below what you thought of this issue and the Lazarus Planet whole event, that all deal. Also, in honor of John Kent, let me know what you think is a better version of a song called Electric Blue. Is it Ice House's Electric Blue or Arcade Fire's Electric Blue? If you say Ice House, you're right, but you can argue with me in the comments below. And that's that. So everybody, thanks a lot, and I will talk to you later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.